If you like to hear any lore, and I mean any lore whatsoever, consider checking out the Patreon, because even at the $1 tier, your voice is heard when we pick the weekly lore. And by way of Patreon, this week's lore is coming to you, the Chairmen from Fallout New Vegas. One of the 3 families on the strip in the Mojave in 2281. First contacted by a Securitron that Mr. House was controlling sometime after around 2274. I couldn't find an exact date of when House went to the 3 families, these 3 tribes that would later become the Chairmen for the Tops, the Omertas for the Gomorrah, and the White Glove Society for the Ultralux. I couldn't find an exact date that said, this is when this started, this is when this happened, but what I did find is that House started the reconstruction of Vegas in 2274. There's also another character I'm going to be talking about later who dies in 2274. So we know it's around that time that the Chairmen went from their original tribe name of the Mojave Boot Riders into the Chairmen. I also have this quote here from House. I oversaw the city's renovation starting in 2274 onward. The 3 families are my employees. So I know as of that point, 2274, 2275, most likely 74, that's when this all started. The Securitron approached the tribe called the Mojave Boot Riders. The tribe destroyed the Securitron in a minute flat, is the exact wording from the All Roads comic that was in the collector's edition of Fallout New Vegas. The next day, 20 Securitrons were sent, so they had to negotiate with House. In return for food, shelter, and medical care, they would renovate the Tops, make it anew, and then the tribe would settle down there. A vocal minority from the tribe didn't want to go, especially the leader, Bingo. This is what his name is referred to as, again, in the All Roads comic. Benny will speak about him as a man named Bingo. Benny and Bingo would argue about this so much to the point that Bingo had challenged Benny to a knife fight. Now, Bingo is described as a big man, a big, stocky, strong man. Stronger than Benny, but because of his strength, he lacked in speed, and Benny knew this. Benny waits for the right time, stabs him in the neck, and he is now the leader of the Mojave Boot Riders. Because Benny becomes the leader of the Mojave Boot Riders, he says we're all going to go to Vegas and start our new lives. This is where a very sycophantic Benny is born, and from here you see him as the character that we see him in New Vegas. Once you first go into the Tops, you can ask Swank, the right-hand man of Benny, what he knows about Mr. House. And Swank will say, and this is paraphrased, this is shortened, without Mr. House, we'd still be wearing gecko skins, poking around the ruins with pointy sticks, scalping people for giggles. The original name for the Chairmen, their tribe, was going to be the Geckos. I think this is where the term Benny Gecko comes from, because Benny doesn't have a last name canonically, but people refer to him as Benny Gecko, I've seen. I like the idea of that being Benny's last name. I think it fits, especially with the story that I just told you, that their original name was going to be the Geckos, and then that was changed early on in development. The Boot Riders do not trust any of the other families. The Chairmen do not trust any of the other families that had come over from the other tribes. The tribes that were then the Omertas, they thought they were shady. They thought that they were swindlers. They thought that what they were doing was cheap. It didn't have any nuance to it. They thought they were just shitty businessmen. And the White Glove Society they never trusted because they feel like that they were hiding something. Now, Benny being the man who's in charge of the Chairmen, the head of the Chairmen, he is Mr. House's right-hand man. And Swank is Benny's right-hand man and oversees all of his day-to-day activities when Benny isn't around. Their entire persona is the emulation of an old world idea of what cool is. I have written down in my notes, and I get all of my lore off of fallout.fandom.com, but what I have written down here is that their coolness is a little bit of Bugsy Siegel meets Miles Davis meets James Dean. From the way they talk, from the way they swing, from the way they just interact with the world. They're laid back, they smoke cigarettes, they drink whiskey on the rocks. They're what you think of like late 50s, early 60s cool. Very Mad Men-esque. all of this knowledge of what was cool, what is cool, is only known to them because of Mr. House's databanks. Because House has all these databanks that of what the old world was once like at one point in time, that's how they know what cool to them is in this old school, new school way. But they're a tribe, and like any tribe, they pride themselves on their weapons. And like any tribe trying to defend themselves, they have to have some. Some of their favorites being knives, straight razors, switchblades, 9mm and 10mm pistols, sawed-off shotguns, 44 Magnum revolvers, riot shotguns, and silenced 22 pistols and 22 SMGs. Killing them does not give the player character any sort of negative karma, and in the collector's edition, you can see that they are given a card. It'll be on screen right now. Check that shit out. They are given a card, and on that card, they're wearing black suits. I actually watched a video about this on YouTube. I'm sorry that I don't remember the creator's name, but in the video, it says that there is a bug in the game where the textures for their suits are supposed to be black, but they are copied from the ones the Omertas wear. And that's why the Omertas and the Chairmen both wear the same suit. And to be completely honest with you, this game has been out since 2010, and I've never noticed that one time. I bet that was supposed to make Benny stand out more in his color scheme. There's a bunch of mods that fix it. If this game ever gets re-released, I think it'd be a crying shame, a sin even, if they didn't fix that. It's a glitch, it's a bug that caused someone to make a video about it. And I get it. It's the way it should be. It's on the artwork, and I get it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed the lore onto the Chairmen. I'm surprised it was as short as it was, but that's all I have for you for this week's lore. Hey everybody, wasn't that great? Didn't you enjoy that? A little bit of Fallout lore to start your day? Maybe midday Fallout lore? Hell, right before bedtime? Doesn't get any better than this. If you like this, check out the Patreon. There's a link in the description below. If you want to have your voice heard, if you want me to do a certain piece of lore, the best way to get in contact with me is through the Patreon. The people who are on screen right now, I gotta thank them. Thank you to these fine folks right now. Because of them, the show can continue to grow and get bigger and better. And if you want to check it out, from the $1 tier to the $10 tier, your voice is heard every single week. I filmed the full Atomic Radio Hour podcast episodes live in our Discord. Hey, you know what? While you're here, check out the Discord. There should be a link in the description below. Check out my Twitter. Check out the show's Twitter. Come hang out. It's a good time. My name has been Vince. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you to the Patreon. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.